Hello and welcome back to the only show that wonders if the name Centurion Eagle was ever considered as an option before landing on Millennium Falcon. I'm Max.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Luke.
And this is Horse for Thought. All right, hello and welcome back. Today we're doing kind of an oddball topic. We're talking about Star Wars insults. This was an idea that was given to us from Luke, and when he first said it, we kind of thought that it was a little bit silly, and then he gave us a couple examples, and then he gave us a couple more, and we decided, you know what, there is actually a good amount that we can talk about. So we'll see. We have a lot of insults to go over. I don't really know how much we have to talk about each insult, so it might still be relatively quick.
Yeah, this will be a 30-second episode. It's just running down the
I was
list.
gonna say, it's always stressful when we think it might be a shorter episode, but like listener has already clicked on this episode. They know damn well exactly how long they're about to listen to us talk.
True.
We're the only ones that don't know.
Is this really going to be 2 hours and 17 minutes?
No.
All right. But anyway, so and stay tuned. We're also going to be doing a news segment where we're going to be talking about a short story from a certain point of view. It is a collection of short stories. The one we're doing is from
Save it.
a certain point of view, A New Hope.
Oh, I wanted
What?
to save the specific story to give the people something to look forward
Okay,
to.
I-
'Cause there's
fair.
a lot of good ones.
Yeah, I won't say
Are we
which
gonna
one
look
it
forward
is.
to it now, though? At the end, we're like, oh, now I have to listen to this whole.
Stay tuned to find out which
no,
one we're talking
they're
about.
on the edge of their
man.
seats.
But
I can
it's-
see the
it's,
listener through the camera. They want to know.
But
Let's just say it has something to do with a certain character in a certain place. I was debating
That's
spoiling
true.
it. I decided I
too
would
much
not.
information. I figured it out now. All right, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's get into a couple insults. So let's start with some of the more obvious ones, starting with walking carpet. If you'll recall, Princess Leia calls Chewbacca a walking carpet.
Yep.
Pretty immediately after he just risked his life to save her from an Imperial prison.
Yeah.
So really, in dissecting it, it seems like in pretty poor taste from Princess Leia.
It also feels like a lot of these insults are very funny because, like, to us, the viewer watching this movie for the first time, it's like, yes, that's very funny because it's like this character is seeing this other character for the first time, but presumably Princess Leia has seen a Wookiee before, or at least know what a Wookiee is, right? So it feels
Yeah.
a little racist, I feel like, to or a little odd to be able to instantly get saved and then call somebody or a species an insult right away.
Let's play a game. We're going to play a game this episode called Is It Racist? Where we're going to go over each insult and we're going to say, is it racist? And then we're going to give it on a scale of 1 to 10, just how hurtful it is. I'm going to say, given the context, this is like a 7 out of 10. Walking carpet, I would say, not the most biting thing you can call a Wookiee, but
yeah.
given everything that he just did, certainly inappropriate.
I agree.
It paints Leia in a pretty negative light. And I don't want to be like one of those toxic boomer CEOs that treats women like so differently than men. Because like if a man said this joke, would it have been funnier? I don't know. It's like when a woman does something, she's manipulative and shrill, but when a man does something, he's cool and suave. I don't want to play that card, but it does seem like it kind of makes me dislike Leia for saying it. Would I have liked it more if Han said it? Maybe.
Well, that's his best friend. Then you got to be like, what kind of relationship do these two have?
But I think that's the thing. Maybe it would have worked better. I mean, it is very funny, and also, yes, I mean, it works out really well. Like, and like actually, like from the audience perspective, he looks like a walking carpet.
All right. Well, let's talk about another one. Pretty tame. It's just fool. But I want to talk about it because it's
pretty
been
tame.
on my mind actually. I've actually had this as a possible force for thought. For
Buckle
an
up,
episode.
folks.
So Obi-Wan is called a damn fool by Harrison Ford, technically by Han Solo. When they're sucked into the Death Star on the tractor beam and they're trying to leave, but they say they can't leave because the tractor beam is still on. And Obi-Wan says, "Leave that to me." And then Han Solo says, "You fool! How did I know you were gonna say that?" or something like that. And then Obi-Wan responds pretty famously with, "Who's the fool? Or who's more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?"
Yeah.
Which is like a famous line, but every time I think about that, I'm just like wondering what was your intention of saying that? Like you're back talking your own plan at this point.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not stupid. You're stupid for listening to me.
Yeah,
I
you're
put
talking.
this-
You're talking yourself down at this point, my man.
I put this on the list as well. I didn't see just the word fool. So I wrote the full quote as well.
Well, it might have been.
Oh, that's funny. You
instance of
did.
the
I
word
now see
fool.
that.
No, it was that exact quote, and that's so funny because I was thinking the same exact thing, and it also just sounds very much like an old Obi-Wan thing to say, which is like, this man actually might just be a loon. Like, I have no idea.
I think he was a little bit at the
Yeah.
end because I have this on the list as I just wrote fool and then in parentheses Obi-Wan to himself because I'm like, you're the one who you're calling foolish right now.
Yeah,
Self burn.
self-burn.
Yeah. So I'm like, what's the context here
I
exactly?
retracted. That was great. I don't think we're gonna top that one. I like that.
And I'll give it a 0 out of 10 for racist.
That's
so
true.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
all right.
Was it racist?
No.
No, it wasn't. We're good. Let's get into one that I think is racist.
Perfect.
Clankers.
That's not racist.
In Clone Wars, well, droids. Is droids a race in Star Wars? No, they're not a race.
It's not a race.
Regardless, I'm going to argue
if we're going by
that it is
tabletop
racist.
role playing games, it is a race.
It's okay.
If you, yeah, but that is such a specific tabletop. That's such a specific.
It's a game mechanic.
Yes, it's a game
Yes.
mechanic.
But
That
hear
is
me
so
out.
specific.
Hear me out.
All
So
right.
clankers, we hear the clones refer to droids that they're
Yes.
fighting in this war as clankers all the time. And
Yes.
I can't help but think that in all the World War II and Vietnam movies that I've seen, they use a lot of racial slurs when referring to the enemy.
If you had like to say 2 to 3 right now, though, what would those be?
Oh, top of my head.
Yeah, what were they?
So anyways, I can't help but think
Sorry, I don't think we have a funny way
There's
out
not
of
a-
that.
There's not a good out of that one.
Yeah.
We just gotta draw right raw. Never mind.
What are you gonna
Cut
say?
it, cut it all. Cut it all. Cut it all.
the person who clicked on this episode is actually at 6 minutes. What the hell's going on here?
This episode's never gonna see the light of YouTube.
It's gonna get censored immediately. What did we say incorrect? Clankers.
Yeah, there
YouTube's
is.
like, you convinced us. You can't say that
You
word.
were correct.
Especially with the hard R at the end. Come on. But anyway, I can't help but feel like this is in the same vein as like those military movies and people referring to their
Yeah.
enemies by these racial slurs. That's
Yeah.
what it jumps out to me
I think
as.
it's definitely. We always joke that it's inspired by that, but this actually was inspired by that,
Yeah.
and it's not like. Well, in war they are doing it pretty in poor taste. They're doing it pretty
Aggressively.
hatred,
Yeah.
full of hate. I think this. I don't know. I
Especially
would
for
give it-
someone who's just following programming, they don't have any choice in this.
Oh, well,
I guess
that
the clones don't either. They're just following orders. I don't know. Never mind. Discussion for
means
another
the Kevin
time.
Owens programmed them to be
Yeah.
a little bit racist toward droids and call them clankers. No, I would give this one a low rating on racist. Good insult. It's classic.
Well, the racist
Reducing
isn't
someone
supposed
to
to
just
be,
the way they look.
the
So
racist isn't supposed to be like a rank. It's just the racist is just yes or no, and then
Oof, we're-
on a scale of 1 to 10 is how how mean it is.
if it's just a yes or no on racist, I guess you can't argue that it's yes.
Good.
It's
Yeah.
definitely not no.
I'm
That's
going with
definitely
clankers as racist.
All right.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, this episode took a weird turn. This is now we're hinging this whole episode on something we just came up with in the moment.
we're gonna backtrack and end up doing vocabulary study and the grammatical
Yeah,
origin of insults, and apparently it's all just racism.
yeah. Force for Thoughts, first apology video.
Yeah, well, we can stop discussing race because that was actually the only one that I thought was racist in this whole list. So
All right.
that was really the start and end of it. All right, but moving on, let's do another one, a common one that we hear
Well,
in.
before I forget it, then, if that's the only one you thought was racist, because
Oh, okay.
I have one that's certainly racist, and it's when people call the Twi'leks tailheads.
Oh yeah,
Or no, I
that,
think that even wormheads.
that would be worse.
Yeah, I don't have that on my list. I don't.
That
think.
definitely would be. That definitely would be racist. Yeah.
Tailheads. Yeah, I
Mhm.
That's kind of fucked up. Right?
Yep, I'm gonna say it's racist.
I don't have that much to say about it.
I'm
but
gonna
it's
give it like
definitely
a
an insult,
5 out of
definitely
10.
Racist, definitely hurtful.
Yeah. but very unoriginal. You know, like,
Unoriginal. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Unoriginal.
I'm sure that's racist in Star Wars, but I'm sure Twi'leks hear that and they're just like, okay,
It's a bully
real
insult.
clever.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
interesting. Okay. Moving on. Before I was rudely interrupted.
I didn't want to forget it.
One that we hear frequently in Rebels, spoken by, I can picture Ezra saying it, and I'm sure others as well. But bucket heads
Yeah. This is
a
a great.
term that they refer to stormtroopers as.
This is a classic one, and also, what a better there's no better term for a stormtrooper. They are dumb.
They're
Yeah.
dumb. There's nothing inside their heads,
Yeah.
and they're always wearing helmets. So,
Yeah.
it works on a lot of levels.
This is a slam dunk of an insult. It's
Slam
not
dunk.
that hurtful that you can't like include it in a kid's show. It's not out of the realm of possibility that a kid would come up with it like Ezra and he would just start using it. This is a home run of an insult.
This is great. And now I think we all kind of understand that verbiage too for stormtroopers. 10 out of 10.
It also kind of takes the frightening fear out of the stormtroopers, calling them bucket heads. It's kind of
Sure.
poking fun at them, making them seem less authoritative and vicious.
Also feels a very good
Mm.
war term. You're facing them, going against them.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
It's a good rallying cry.
Yeah,
We're going to take some of these buckethead down with us.
yeah.
I think that's a direct line from something that Matt and I are writing on the side.
That-
but I'll
that-
leave that there.
It is indeed the first episode.
All right,
Page
moving
8.
on. The next one that we have, you overweight glob of grease.
Yes, I put this one too, and it's one of the
This
first
is
insults.
C-3PO calls R2-D2 on Tatooine, right?
No, they're on the Tantive 4 still.
Oh, very,
I
very
believe,
beginning.
yeah.
Okay.
Right before they go into the escape pod.
Yeah, I think so.
I have no idea. I
Okay.
wasn't the one who put this on the list.
Oh,
so-
it was me who put this on the
Okay,
list.
okay.
And they're still not on Tatooine yet. I believe it's right before they go into the escape pod. And yeah, this is like one of the first insults we ever hear in Star Wars. If not, this is the first insult.
C-3PO calls R2-D2 an overweight glob of grease. That is so hurtful because a droid neither gains nor loses weight. You're just insulting him for literally how he can't help.
Yes,
For literally
he
what he
is.
cannot help.
C-3PO, I can't remember if I've said it before. He's the worst. He is so mean all the time. He is
You-
a straight up asshole.
You have said I don't think you've said this on the podcast. Luke does not like C-3PO, and I love C-3PO. And Max is currently wearing C-3PO socks.
I'm not going to be able to get that into frame. I'm
Show
not
him-
that flexible.
Show me your tootsies.
Take our word for it. I love C-3PO in The Rise of Skywalker. I think that's the best he's ever been, and I think it's also the only time he's ever been a good character. I find him very annoying and abrasive, which I guess is like the purpose of his character in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
in every way. But yeah, he's just super mean. Like what Max said, I was the one that suggested doing insults as a episode, and I was watching A New Hope, and I was like, it was the overweight glob of grease because it was the first one. I was like, oh, that's a funny insult. I should include that in the podcast sometime. And then his next like 15 lines to R2 are just savage insult after savage insult. And I was like, oh my god, we could do a full episode about these.
Yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
I love that one though. I think it's good.
I'm going to give that one like a 9 out of 10 for hurtfulness.
Yeah,
That is rude.
But
That
I
is
also
uncalled
think
for.
3PO and R2 probably dish it back and forth too. You know, I think
Yeah,
R2
it's
is
just because we can't hear R2's
Yes.
side. It's probably way
yeah.
worse.
R2 is just a little sassy bitch, and I
from,
think
from
like
every indication we get from R2 from those who can understand him,
Yeah.
he's pretty sassy. So
Which
I think R2D2 says
we
some
might be
pretty mean
talking about
things,
later
too.
as well.
Maybe. We'll
I
see.
haven't seen the list, so that actually does tease me a little bit. I'm excited.
No, I
What?
think
No,
maybe
no.
he's talking about the story that we're about to
Potentially
review
the
from
story
a,
we're talking
from a
about
certain
later
point
on.
of view.
Oh.
Maybe R2D2 is involved.
Well, maybe we'll get some more R2D2 insults. I'm worried we're not going to get to it now, but I'm thinking of the one on Octu where R2's roasting Luke and cussing him out, and he says, hey, Sacred Island, watch the language. You just know he's calling him a motherfucker.
Oh, that's funny. All right. I didn't put this next one on either, so this might be another C-3PO one. You nearsighted scrap pile.
Yeah, that's C-3PO.
Is it the
You
same
damn near
movie?
said it in a British accent.
You nearsighted scrap pile. That's hard not to say in a British accent.
Was that a British accent? I don't think.
No, that was an American
I
accent.
was like,
But I can hear it now as I say it in a normal,
I thought
because
you
I'm
were
American, so this is what a normal accent sounds like.
thought you
Right, that's the
yeah.
default of all humans.
Correct.
Yeah. I thought you redid it in a British accent. I was like, Max, that doesn't sound any different from your normal voice.
Oh, you near scrap pile.
There you go.
That is
And you're from
perfect
Yorkshire.
C-3PO.
Yeah.
Okay. So does he say this to R2 as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
on Tatooine, because I'm pretty sure a couple of these are going to be in a row. Because when I was watching A New Hope,
This
and I was sending them
definitely
one
is.
after another. But yeah, he says it's R2, and it's again hurtful, again pretty uncalled for, and again kind of the reason I don't like C-3PO that much.
And again, something that R2 can't help. So
He is a programmed entity.
yeah, whether he can see near or far, that's nothing that he has any control over.
And he probably can see far, too. He is an astromech droid designed for assisting in starships, like in an X-wing. You got to
Mhm.
see through space. It's kilometers of range in these fights. You know,
That's true. And C-3PO is just a protocol droid. I bet R2-D2's vision is a lot better than C-3PO's.
exactly.
I put money on it.
All right. So the big takeaway so far is, yeah, C-3PO is kind of an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And we love him for it, though.
Some of us do.
we range. Matt loves him. Luke hates him. And I'm indifferent. I don't care about him. It's whatever.
All right, you get the full gambit here on Force for Thought.
That's what we strive to provide. All right, the next one, a classic. You scruffy-looking nerf herder. I believe
What is this one from?
I believe this one was spoken in The Empire Strikes Back
Which
from
Luke?
Princess Leia.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the insult, you might as well include the first half. That it's a stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder, which is a bit more insulting.
It does add more.
Yeah.
It does add.
Makes
It's
it
a little-
better.
It stings a little bit.
Because Leia's like stuttering, and you think she's not going to land the joke or the insult, but she does.
She
And then
gets there.
Han Solo takes it on the chin, and he turns around and he says, "Who you calling half-witted?" No, I'm just kidding.
I hated that so much.
I could hear the air leave the room. So, as Luke knows, because he's still working his way through Empire,
Yeah, I just
the
recently
real
watched the
line,
scene.
you
This
can
is on
give the
Hoth.
real line.
You stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder. And then Han turns back and says, "Who's scruffy-looking?"
Which is perfect. I feel like that's, such a great Han line.
Yeah,
He
that's
knows
good.
he's
That's
hot.
good insult banter where it's not like overly hateful or hurtful like anything C-3PO says ever.
Yeah.
It's well rebutted. It speaks to the characters.
As far
Good
as
insult.
hurtfulness, I would give it like, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10, but because it was said to Han and just how well he took it, I'm going to give it like a 6 out of 10.
One of my favorite parts of reading comics is getting like little random lore dumps. You remember when they actually did herd nerfs? In
In the
in the
Falcon.
mainline comic?
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Because they even said something about it, didn't they say, like, don't tell Leia or something?
I think they were just like roasting other nerf herders and like talking about how ugly the nerfs are or the herders themselves. There was a lot of tongue-in-cheek in-jokes, and it was really fun.
Interesting. All right. Moving on to the next one. You mangy Kashyyykian moof milker.
Yeah, see, that
This
also sounds
one-
racist, actually.
Well,
Kashyyykian.
that's interesting. Mangy, I don't really know how hurtful that is. What does that imply? Is that like a
Just
The Kash-
unkempt and
is that a
hairy.
texture
and-
thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
I
texture thing? Yeah.
I don't think that's bad. Kashyyykian isn't bad. Moof
Well,
milker.
in
Do we
certain
know what a
context-
moof is?
No. I'm trying to think. Is it like almost in the exact same arc as the nerf herders? Are there moofs also? I can't remember. I don't think so. Because also that Star Wars mainline
Could
comic
be.
came out before Solo, so probably not. But it did not come out before The Force Awakens, which is another time when Han Solo calls someone a moof milker.
Huh.
When
Some moof milker changed the, what was it, bypass the compressor or something? No, that
Put
was
a-
what they ended up
Put a
doing.
compressor on the hyperdrive.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. So both
Good
times it
call,
was said by
Luke.
Han Solo.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
it's
that's a
just
nice little
made up in his head.
connection there.
Maybe it means nothing.
No one's ever talked to him about it.
He just keeps trying to fake it till you make it, and
Yeah.
he's gone.
It's gonna catch on, guys. It's gonna catch on.
The insult's only like a 1 out of 10 because people don't know if they're offended. They're like, what's a move? Do I drink moof milk?
Am I a moof milker? Oh, it's funny because the two times he says it is when he meets Chewbacca and when he meets Rey, which is like the relative beginning of his life and the relative end of his life. So you just know that whole time in the middle, he's calling people moof milkers left and
That's
right.
What if that's what he calls his penis?
I doubt it.
But we don't know.
No.
That's what's important. All right, well, there's your force for thought for today.
I regret saying that, but your laugh was worth it.
I'm not cutting it. All right, the next one is Bantha Poodoo. How do we feel?
Sorry, I still haven't recovered. I feel pretty good about it.
You're just trying to think if
what's the
every insult could
context?
also mean penis.
No.
What's the context?
I don't even know. I think it was said in The Phantom Menace. Sebulba said it to Anakin, or Anakin said it to Sebulba.
If Sebulba
Oh yeah,
said it.
Sebulba says it. Now you're gonna be Bantha Poodoo.
yeah,
Sebulba laugh.
you just
but
got to commit to it
This is my favorite episode we've ever done.
and twirl your mustache a little bit.
He does have. They're more dangly. It's just
Yeah.
a real lengthy handlebar mustache. But yeah, that is when he says it. He says Anakin's gonna be Bantha Poodoo. Does that just mean dead? Is that an insult?
I guess that's not an insult then. That's just like another word for poop. You're gonna be dead meat, basically.
Yeah, I
don't
assume
know.
dead meat.
I guess I just
roadkill.
thought poop because poo's in there.
Yeah,
But
I would have. It
I'm
feels
trying
like
to
it.
think if it's used anywhere else. Does Jabba say it? I can almost hear Jabba saying it.
yeah, I think Jabba does say poodoo. I don't know if he says
Bantha Poodoo?
Bantha Poodoo.
Mm.
Like shit out of luck?
We're gonna
Is it-
need cur-
Is
we're
it gonna
need-
be like you're shit out of luck?
It could be that.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we need a fact checker. Our producer's actually on vacation right now. I should not have approved that PTO.
I know.
all of our phones are being used. All right. Moving on. That slimy piece of worm-ridden filth. I gotta say, I have been called this one numerous times. Each time it hurts. It is effective.
I don't want to overplay my hand because I haven't heard the rest of your list yet, but I'm gonna name this as the GOAT of Star Wars insults. That is
Interesting.
a fantastic insult. It's what Han Solo says to C-3PO to call Jabba when they're about to be executed in the
Mhm.
Sarlacc. He says, 3PO, you tell that slimy piece of worm-ridden filth he'll get no such pleasure from us, right?
Right.
And that line, the delivery, the scene, that is the best Star Wars insult, in my opinion.
He's not wrong. It sums up Jabba pretty well.
And I like that he goes to everyone else that he's with for agreement. Like, we are in agreement with that, right?
Correct.
We're not
He's-
begging for mercy.
He is giving someone the option of being like, actually, I would like to beg. Luke's like, I was raised on Tatooine. I've heard of Sarlaccs before. Not interested.
No thanks.
All right. The next one I don't think is an insult at all, but they really kind of throw it out there quite a bit. It is Echuta.
Ichuta.
No, this is great. This is great. Sorry, go on, Luke.
No, I've read Star Wars Legacy. I went rogue on it in January, and we've talked about it. We talked about it then about how it's seemingly unnecessarily edgy and kind of
It's rude.
it's yeah. Well, I mean, the comic in particular,
Oh.
it tries to be edgy and play at the edge. I'm just saying edgy over.
You
and over
are.
again. Cut this so that I
Edgy.
just say edgy once. It's a very edgy comic, and he says Cade Skywalker says it, who is like the edgelord himself, and he's the main character, and he says Ichuta in just the most vicious of circumstances. I think it is a one-to-one translation of "go fuck yourself," and you cannot tell me I'm any different.
Okay.
I am 100% convinced.
This is what's so good about the 3CPO scene, the C3PO scene in Cloud City when
When
the
the
door opens
the other
and
droid just
the-
says Ichuta.
Yes,
He says,
it's-
how rude.
yes, it's
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
that's why it's one of my favorites because like as a kid when you're watching that and he just says Ichuta, you're just like, what did he say to him? Like it's that instant that he's just like, how rude. It feels like go fuck yourself instantly. Like
Mhm.
he's so 3PO was so excited to see him. It's just like nope, denied. Ichuta.
I meant to look it up because I did look up one of the other insults that we're going to talk about. I think it might be next on your list. Patisa.
Go for it. Patisa. Yes, I do have that on here. I have no idea what that is.
Have you ever heard it in
No.
Star Wars? I didn't know if it was a Star Wars Legacy original, but it jumped out at me so aggressively because they call each other Patisa. Cade calls Jariasin Patisa and vice versa, and they are friends. And I looked it up, and technically, canonically, it is Arabesh or whatever the language they speak. Arabesh is the language they write. It's the same language they speak, right? I think so. It is Star Wars language for friend. But again, you cannot convince me that it is not a stand-in for the N-word. The way they use it in the
Okay.
comic, it is 100% they are calling each other the N-word. It's like, oh yeah, he's my Patisa. Sometimes it's friendly. Sometimes it's like, you're a no good Patisa. And it's like, oh my God. Sometimes friend works here. Sometimes it doesn't.
Interesting.
I can't help but hear the N-word when I'm
Is
reading
this
this.
and
Well-
this is in the Legacy comics?
Yes.
That makes so much sense for those weird comics.
It
They're
does.
so
trying
weird.
so hard to be edgy.
They really are.
Someone told that author, you cannot say this. And he's like, all right, well, what if I just use the word Patisa instead? And they're like, what is that? And he's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it just means friend, but
Yeah.
we'll see. And then he just, Control F, replace. You can't convince me otherwise.
I don't feel comfortable saying that joke even. So
Okay, well, I'm gonna say then I haven't read Legacy, but we did review
Yeah.
it. We didn't talk about that dialogue in particular,
Yeah.
but after having this conversation, I will say, yeah, I'll call that racist.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll give that one the thumbs up for.
If it impacts your judgment, it's always Cade and Jiraiya that say it to each other. They're both human. One is white, one is black. I don't know if that changes it, but I don't know if that impacted the way I heard it also.
It's enough to make you feel icky every time you read it.
It did.
Yeah.
It's enough to make me Google what Patissa means. And then when I got the answer, I thought, I don't know about
You
that.
Googled it saying, please don't be something that I think this is. And you were like, yeah, okay. All right, moving on. Let's do, this one's a little more lighthearted, maybe because it's spoken from a 9-year-old, Sleemo.
Sounds fun.
That is a good one. That's one of those where he says it and he thinks it's going to absolutely devastate. And it just does.
It feels like a 9-year-old's insult.
It
Yeah, it
does.
does.
That's good writing. You know, The Phantom Menace gets a lot of flack for its writing. Sleemo, on par.
Perfect dialogue for a 9-year-old, George.
Yes.
That was right on.
Yeah. It feels like he was like George Lucas was watching like Nick at Night or something, and somebody said that in like a 90s.
Someone said
someone-
lame-o. and
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
like, oh, Star Wars.
Someone got slimed and he was like, I have
Yes.
a great idea for this.
Yes. Bingo.
All right, moving on to another more lighthearted one, Jedi Dog. C-3PO.
Yeah, that's C-3PO that says it, but it's
Kind
under
of.
a little bit, better
Yeah.
circumstances. Doesn't make me
Oh.
dislike C-3PO quite as much.
Because he was half battle droid at the time. This was at the Petronaki Arena during Attack of the Clones.
Yes,
He says,
he-
die, Jedi dogs. And then he immediately says, oh, what did I say?
Yes, I haven't watched that scene recently enough to know if he says it to Kit Fisto, but I know Kit Fisto is the one that knocks him over and, neutralizes him. If he said it to Kit Fisto, I'm pissed. If he said it to any other
Kiani
Jedi,
Mundi.
it's okay. Yeah. If he said it to Kiani Mundi, I'm on his side.
That's funny. It's also something that feels like it could be like a good thing, like if Kit Fisto said that to another Jedi, like, oh yeah, he's my Jedi dog. You're like, oh hell yeah, bro.
That would be DAWG though.
That's
and
true.
C-3PO was definitely saying DOG.
Yeah,
It's true.
Are there dogs in Star Wars? Does this imply the existence of dogs?
there are loath cats. Are there loath dogs? Is there anything with dog in it?
There's Loth Wolf, which is close.
Well, they say Jedi dog, so there has to be some sort of animal
There's
called
hounds.
something dog.
Yeah. There's hounds. I'd say yeah. I'm pretty confident there's dogs in Star Wars.
There's howlers.
Yeah.
I mean, what else would this word have come from if there aren't?
True.
Unless it just means something completely different. I don't know. Moving on, another fun one, Fuzzball.
Yep. Great.
Another classic.
Yep. No notes.
No notes. It's great.
How hurtful.
Not very. It's
Not
a fun.
very,
It's a
yeah.
fun little one.
It's poking fun.
I feel like it's literally the
like-
equivalent of calling someone an idiot.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like calling your friend a nerd.
Yeah,
it's
but-
like it's lighthearted. It's
But
not
Han
meant to hurt.
Solo says it specifically to Chewbacca. Do you
Yeah.
think that
The
changes anything?
racism.
Yeah.
No,
No.
Laugh
I
it
think
up,
that's okay.
Fuzzball.
it would be like saying it to someone. It'd be
It's so
like saying to
funny.
You. You have a beard.
I do.
Would you
Okay.
take offense?
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're good.
I think that settles it then.
I like the way you
We are
said
in agreement.
that quote like Harrison Ford says it in that movie. Like
Thank you.
it's hard not to follow that cadence.
Laugh it up, Fuzzball.
Yeah, it's
Like
hard
calling
not to
someone
do
a
that.
nearsighted scrap pile and
Yeah.
not a British accent.
I like how I just realized that when you said it verges on John Wayne a little bit.
Interesting. I have no idea what John Wayne sounds like.
when he
Me
says,
neither.
I know what his grandson walks like.
Another one that I didn't put on the list, and I don't know if we'll get to it, but I thought of it when we mentioned not being able to say it without a British accent, because Carrie Fisher has famously talked about not being able to say, I should have recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board in not a British accent, because Leia has a British accent for like the first third of A New Hope and then not for the rest of all Star Wars. And she said like, oh, but that line was written so British, I had to say it. That's a good insult though.
Your foul stench.
I should have recognized your
Yeah.
foul stench when I was brought on
It-
board.
It draws a lot of questions. What does Vader smell like?
yeah.
No, she says about a Tarkin though.
Oh, does she say that about Tarkin? I
Yeah.
thought she said about Vader.
I
Let's
thought
think
she said
about
Vader,
Vader
too.
for a second if
Yeah.
we can. Then let's take a little side road here. What do you think Vader smells like? It can't be good. I imagine it smells kind of like ozone, like that smell like when you're going to like go-karts or something. You just have like that kind of like
Oh,
burnt
yeah, yeah, yeah,
smell.
yeah.
I imagine he smells kind of like that.
I think he covers it up with like a nice, like dark, musky smell.
Do you think
He
he
smells like
covers it up?
mahogany wood.
I feel like you would lose so much of your fear if people are like, oh, he's using kind of a nice perfume today, though, isn't he?
Mm.
Yeah, you don't want to smell good if you're Vader. I feel like his breath has to smell bad just because it's so loud. I feel like the other senses also have to be dramatic. Does that make sense to anyone
Yeah.
else?
That would be a good insult. If someone was like, your breath is so loud, I can smell it from here. Interesting. Okay. All right, we'll keep moving on.
Tarkin smells like onions, though, right?
He smells like at
he
least
smells
old
like,
man.
yeah, he has an
I would
old man
recognize his
smell.
foul stench if I was brought on board his
He's
Star
got to smell like
Destroyer.
liver, onions, and like a cigar.
Yes.
But that's also a
oddly
great
perfect.
insult.
You're right.
It's it's
Or a pipe.
it's a highbrow insult. It's like one that a senator would use. It's not. It's high effort, intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
And then she really dumps it down for walking carpet.
Yeah.
Really just low hanging fruit, Leia. All right. This one I added. It was from a comic that I was reading. Someone was called Backstabbing Sith Spit. And I thought that calling someone Sith Spit was interesting.
What was the
Sith spit.
comic? What was the context?
It was part of the Dark Droids story that I was reading, but I think it was one of the tie-ins. I want to say it was from Bounty Hunters.
Because Sith spit. I'm not confident enough to say it, but
Sounds like you're going to.
I'm going to.
Let it rip.
I'm pretty sure it's in Star Wars Legacy as like a oh shit kind of thing.
Oh,
I think he
Sith
like
spit?
says it under his breath when something bad happens. Yeah.
That makes sense. Oh, Sith Spit. That sounds like something that would be said in that moment.
To me, Sith spit specifically sounds like a novelty soda that you would get somewhere at like a con. It's purple.
yeah, I could see
Next
that.
Star Wars Celebration, I would definitely drink a Mountain Dew Sith Spit.
Does that weirdly sound refreshing?
That color is red, and they're gonna have to make a big point about how it's not code red. It is different.
It is
and it's
different.
only being sold here for $12.99, so get it now.
But it's like the most. I don't want to make fun of Star Wars fans, but filled with Mountain Dew connoisseurs who are like swirling it. Like, no, it's definitely code red.
It's definitely code red. Sith spit.
And another one that was also taken from the comic was Tabana Slug. Tabana?
Coca Cabana.
I always say Tabana.
Tabana. Like Tabana gas.
I think it's in yeah, they say Tabana gas in Star Wars.
Do they say Tabana or Tabana?
Tabana gas?
I think it depends on the
No, I
accent.
can't hear it.
Clevelanders, you know,
I think
Tabana.
because it's Lando who says it, right? And Lando also kind of talks with that kind of
I know,
weird...
I would think
he doesn't
Lando
have an
would say
accent, but
Tabana.
It's just like, he has a suave...
Like he probably
I don't
says
know.
pajamas. I wish I could say pajamas.
He says Sabak and gets mad at Han when he says Sabak.
Weird
and
that you
calls
just
him-
called him Han.
yeah,
it
that was
was
very,
out of mind.
very in character.
Yeah, it was one of those Freudian things.
Okay, but yeah, Tabana Slug. I'm going to go with Tabana. I don't
I
know
can't
why.
get over it.
Luke's wearing a toboggan right now anyway.
Toboggan.
That's what
It's a
Northerners...
sled.
That's what Northerners refer to that hat as.
Really?
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You should know that from Nathan For You, Nathan Fielder,
Huh.
because he's from Canada. He calls that a toboggan. Tabana Slug.
Oh.
The way
I
you're
thought that
saying
one
it
was
is like
interesting.
manana. Like
Tabana
da,
slug.
da, 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 da.
Manana. What's the
Tabana
song that
Slug.
you're thinking of?
It's the Muppets. Da, 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 da. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. Fuck
No,
it.
never mind. I'm thinking of the
Cut
tequila
that
song.
too.
Me
This is
too.
a
Tequila.
meta
Da, 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 da,
episode.
da.
Tabana.
Tabana.
All right.
I'm just gonna keep looking at the camera and giving it a thumbs up to give you a nice hard intro to cut to when
I
we have to
know.
No,
take out all this
All this
nonsense.
stays in.
I appreciate that because ever since I started editing the video, if anyone ever watches it and sees a part where I just randomly cut to someone who's not talking, it is definitely because there was an edit right there.
Yep.
All right. Tabana Slug.
Yes, go on.
I just think it's interesting because we don't know really what Tabana gas looks like or
What's
how
the
it works.
context? Do you
Again, it
remember?
was from I think Bounty Hunters, but no, I don't remember.
It was from
the-
a comic.
Yeah,
Okay.
comic. But apparently, Tabanas have slugs, or
That's
slugs.
interesting.
Slugs are attracted to Tabana or something, or maybe Tabana. We don't know. I thought it was an interesting insult. They can't all be home runs, guys. All right.
I keep thinking about the
Sorry, me
asteroid
too.
slug in Empire. Could that be a Tabana slug? What else would you call that? Is there Tabana in asteroids? I don't know. There's got to be
Assume
some
not,
sort of
otherwise they'd be
atmosphere.
mining it. Clearly, it's profitable to mine.
Mhm. Well, that's true, but you can't really mine the center of an asteroid field. It's too dangerous to fly through.
How dangerous is it to fly through?
3,720 to 1 or something.
Please tell me that was the right number.
We'll check it in post.
Okay.
The possibility of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
The next one is also from a comic, but one that we're all familiar with because it was from a comic that we recently reviewed from Kanan. They referred to people as tusk suckers. I have to say that slowly because I'm afraid that won't come out right. Tusk sucker. It sounds hurtful. It sounds bad.
Good insult.
It does not.
I'm not going to
rate this
say
one
what
highly.
we think it means because I think it's clear.
Yeah.
Tusk sucker. Yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10. I think that one's an insult. That's
Yeah.
hard. That's hurtful.
That one goes hard.
Yeah. Not good. I would be hurt.
That's one that works in real life too, because
Yeah,
tusks
walking that
are
away.
also a real thing. So
Yeah.
you just called someone that.
Counters an image.
There's also something to be said for just the way it rolls off your tongue. Like if you called someone a tusk sucker in real life, it's not that hurtful literally, but just the way you can rip it at them, it will come across as very hurtful.
People will be shocked.
I'm gonna start calling people tusk suckers.
Kind of like Sith spit. It's like you're going out of your way to say that. That doesn't roll off easy at all. Say it.
Sith spit.
Yeah.
Sith
You're
spit.
like
It's
ugh,
not natural.
You're forming your mouth in too many different ways. All right, moving on to another poodoo. This one was Jedi poodoo. I'm pretty sure poodoo just means poop.
Yeah.
I'm
I
saying
think so.
There's no way they would just call someone Jedi poop though. That's not a good insult.
If you've seen any interview with George Lucas, I think he would.
So this is the Doug in Coruscant while Anakin and Obi-Wan are flying through chasing Zam with the droid thing that delivered the slugs, and Obi-Wan almost hits this Doug, and he kind of turns around and says, "Oh, Jedi poodoo."
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a cool moment. I don't think it's a great insult.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he said that under his breath, and it was like, "Oh shoot, I hope the camera didn't pick me up. I could have said something better."
Like very minor road rage. It's
Yeah.
the equivalent to getting cut off and just being like, that jerk.
What the heck?
What did you call him? Some in a parallel universe right now, an alien race is like analyzing our language, and they're like, "What do you think jerk means?" I think it's pretty bad. I hear it all the time. All right, moving on. We already did Patissa. Cantina rat.
Oh,
Who added
Cantina
that
Rat.
one?
I
Did you add
added that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
when is that
that
one
was a good
from?
one. Oh man, why can I not remember where it is?
Is it from the holiday special? Because when they
No.
go to the cantina, there's a literal rat just in the corner.
I think it's in Clone Wars. Cantina Rat is good. I also just imagine this to be like Barfly, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
pretty,
That's
because
pretty 1-to-1, I think.
I love that in Star Wars when they make a 1-to-1, just tearing something into Star Wars that wasn't.
Yeah, that feels.
Yeah.
But it also just, especially the Cantina Rat, makes you feel like you're just in a seedier place. You know, Barfly could be at least like in Cheers. It seems fun. Like you're not an alcoholic, but like in a Cantina Rat, it feels like you're like doing grimy things all the time.
Yes, cantina. Does cantina need to have a negative connotation?
No, because you can go to a cantina technically like here and be like, it feels like there's more of like a Hispanic vibe to it. I feel like.
I don't go to many bars, even fewer cantinas, I guess. Is cantina Spanish for bar?
I don't know.
What is a
I
cantina?
took French.
I don't know. Boy, we're sounding stupid right now. We
We
really,
only know Star Wars
we
so
try
much
to
that we're
stick
like,
to this one lane.
we're like, is a cantina real outside of Star Wars?
I'm pretty sure it's real. 'cause,
Yeah,
I've seen it
it's
on, like
lo-
Mexican
lo- like local
restaurants.
cantina and stuff. Yeah, it's a.
I think it's got to be Spanish for bar, but boy, that sounds like something that we should just know.
Turns out, Luke's the racist. Every word he doesn't know is just like, I'm sure it's Spanish.
and here's the twist.
All right. And then the last one isn't necessarily a single word or phrase, but again, another insult coming from our dearly beloved Princess Leia when she says, "Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?"
Yeah, this one is such a good burn. I feel like because we know that our boy and main character is a short king from here on out, but then also, what is the normal standard height for a stormtrooper? I feel like that
And
does
is
make
Mark Hamill short?
I think Mark Hamill's probably pretty short. I'd guess he's like
I have no idea.
5'9".
Oh, really?
I'd say he's like 5'9", 5'9".
He never looks that much taller than Carrie Fisher, and wasn't she really short? Wasn't she
Pretty
like
sure she's
5'2" or
short.
5'3"?
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
pretty short. So do you
Or
think
maybe
that the
he's 5'7".
Empire has like required height that you have to be within?
I would guess yes.
Some
I think
sort
it's
of
like any other
specific-
conscripted military where they will turn away all the weaklings.
Yeah, I think it might be the
But-
same thing too.
That then leads me to Princess Leia's state of mind, where this stormtrooper comes in, and maybe he is a genuine stormtrooper, and he's just a little shorter, and you're just pissing him off before you go do whatever you're about
I
to
think
do.
that's
That
her-
seems very Leia,
Yes,
though.
I think
I'm
that's
cool
her
with
goal
that.
is to disarm them and to be like, even though I'm the prisoner, you're going to be taken down a couple of pegs.
The only thing that I can
She's a
think of
badass.
though is like later on, like a lot happens. They escape the Death Star. Obi-Wan dies. Luke is distraught. But at some point, I like to think that Luke went back to her about that. He was like, "Hey, by the way, I am of average height. Like if you look at the records according to Tatooine, I
Yeah.
am average height.
For a moisture farmer.
Like that was a little mean of what you said back there.
And also, we're siblings, so fuck you.
Yeah, that too.
All right, that was everything on my list. Do you guys have anything that you can think of in addition to that?
I would say that was a pretty expansive list.
There was more than I thought.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not like sad that it kept going. I'm just surprised that we had so many. That was
Yeah.
fun.
And there's probably a lot that we missed too. So, listener, let us know. Let us know what we missed if you can think of
Yes,
anything.
Be very clear that you were just providing an insult, that you're not, insulting us. The way you phrase these comments,
You
has to
can
be
also
very
do that
important.
too.
You get a bunch of
though.
comments like, "Yeah, here's an insult for you."
Hey, fuckhead.
we
Here's
actually have a lot of fans who are just like reaching out, but we're just like overly sensitive. So we're like, "Hey, fuck you, man."
And permaban.
Man, you're not listening to us ever again. All right. Well, that brings us to our next portion of the show. We're going to, I want this to be a recurring bit because there's a lot of good short stories within from a certain point of view that I think we can talk about real quickly and kind of review.
Mhm.
And this is the first one that I want to talk about because it's one that Luke's and my brother brings up frequently. This short story is called,
know.
you don't know that?
No, we're trying to figure out if that's grammatically
that
correct.
phrase
because
is
you
Oh,
forget
I changed it?
yourself, yeah.
Luke's and my.
I don't know.
That
Look at
sounds wrong.
Yeah.
Luke and my's? That's not right. Luke and mine?
I think maybe
could just say
Luke
our-
and my, because it would be like
Luke
you
and
would
my
say
brother.
my brother if I wasn't there.
But I wouldn't
you're
say
including
Luke
me.
brother.
Luke and me are the one entity, and so it's Luke and my brother.
I think it's Luke's and my
Wow,
brother.
Luke and my sounds weird too.
It does. I like you saying Luke
We're
brother.
not, 'cause we're
though.
not one entity. It's not Luke and me. It's Luke's brother and my brother.
Luke, myself. We have a brother. That brother talks about this.
I'm going to assume this
Story.
is Jake.
Yeah.
Okay.
He talks about this one a lot. It's called The Red One, and it is about R5. So it is the story of R5 blowing a power converter as he's being sold to Owen Lars. Is his last name still Lars?
Yeah.
Owen Lars. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Is
from
it
his,
actually
from his
a
point of view.
power converter? I don't want to fact check you because I'm not certain. Because Luke calls it a bad motivator.
Or motivator.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes. Uncle Owen, this one has a bad motivator.
Hey, what are you trying to pull on me?
you, oh, man,
Impressions
you can do it
today
all.
are
Yeah.
perfect.
My God.
But anyway, so it's from R5's point of view, and basically what happens is R5 was stranded in this. He was picked up presumably months ago, maybe years,
I thought it said years.
by
Mhm.
these Jawas, and he was waiting to be sold, and a lot of people have kind of looked him over but consistently passed over on him. And then they come across a new protocol droid and a new astromech, and he realizes that it's C-3PO and R2. But at one point, R2-D2 starts to try to sabotage R5 to better R2's chances of getting out, I guess.
Mhm.
And kind of savage right there alone. And it ties into what we were talking about before about R2, probably
Yeah.
hurling some insults. He's kind of maniacal. I mean, he
Yes.
was
And this is also is this the first time we are ever actually hear R2, like see what R2 is saying? Because it's not just beep boop. Like he is speaking in full words because R5 is able to understand him. Correct? Like we see quotes that he says.
that's a good question. I don't know.
You just
Because
read it, so I'll
we
defer
get-
to you. But
I mean, he does. We do see what he says, but
yeah,
like
that's really interesting. I
is
think
this
that
the
probably
first-
would be the only time we actually get a one-to-one translation.
because
of
I've
what he
never seen a
says.
translation
It's
of what
usually
he's
just people responding to
Yes,
him.
Yeah.
exactly. It's to me that was mind blowing. Like to read that, and I did not like it. It was weird.
It took a lot of the mystery out for you.
It took a lot of the mystery out, but then also just like seeing how this character acts normally. It's like, oh, we can all understand like he is probably like very sassy, very whatever. But then it is weird to see exactly what he's saying, and it is maniacal. It is very much like, yes, the galaxy is doomed. He says at one point.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like you know what I mean? Like I don't know. It is very odd.
Is it weird just because you know and have seen so much stuff with R2D2,
Yeah.
or just the fact that you are hearing and understanding binary, because the whole thing is from
Mhm.
R4's perspective.
Yes.
So you are reading binary the whole time, just
Yeah.
being translated because you're listening to R4.
R5.
Just- yes.
Jeez, I said R4 twice, didn't I?
Yeah.
And now 3 times. R5.
R5.
R5D4.
Yes. I just got his action figure as well.
Oh,
Their
nice.
action figure is
Black
great.
Series?
Yeah. But the so it's the first one. It's understanding this character after a lifetime literally of understanding him and just bleeps and bloops. And then beyond that, it's just like when you're reading it, it's just like, how do you picture his voice then? You have to picture a voice for R2D2. Like when you're picturing him saying that, I'm not picturing the bleeps and bloops. Like I should be.
No, because he doesn't have a voice. It is the bleeps and bloops. You're getting the translation.
I know,
right
but
away.
reading that, it's hard. I'm like, is this voice like who?
Oh, that's interesting.
So
That's my takeaway from it.
it is interesting. But that was one of my notes, is that R2 is a savage, and
Yes,
that's
he
kind
is.
of consistent with how we also see him like in comics oftentimes and stuff like that too, which is fun. But it's also just a very sad comic, or this isn't a comic, it's a short story. It's a very sad short story because it's all about R5 and how he believes like this is like his last chance for someone to buy him, basically. And he's
Yeah.
like coming to grips with the fact that like he's getting rustier as the time goes on.
Mhm.
And if he isn't sold soon, he's only going to be like sold off for scrap and be deactivated and basically die.
Yeah.
And it's so sad. And like as he catches R2 trying to sabotage him in the middle of this crawler, R2 like immediately apologizes and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. The fate of the galaxy is at stake here." And R5's kind of like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And then R2 kind of keeps begging and pleading, and like the story goes on, and R5's like, "I don't know why, but for some reason
Yep.
I believed him." And as I was selected out of this line and he was being purchased, he was kind of making his way towards the homestead, and he for some reason believed what R2 was saying to be true.
Yeah.
And so he sacrifices himself. He blows his own motivator
Yep.
so that R2 could be picked over him.
Yeah, it's a great story of self-sacrifice and belief and trust. It's also really cool that R5 was talking about how he got his memory wiped when he got picked up by the Jawas,
Mm-hmm.
and how he is programmed with the inability to lie or deceive. But he's able to lie and deceive at the end, and he realizes that he was upgraded before he had his memory wiped in some other life, essentially, because you had your memory completely wiped like 4 years ago, and all you've known is the inside of the sandcrawler. And he keeps talking about what his life may have been before and how he has feelings and memories and vague dreams of what he used to be, and he thinks like
But
he
we
was
don't know what
involved
that
with
is,
this
though.
rebellion in some degree. He mentions being involved in a rebellion vaguely before
Yeah.
he got his memory wiped. And then we know he's involved after with Carson Teva and the Mandalorian and Pelimato
Yeah.
and stuff. And yeah, it was really cool. The fact that he was upgraded and was able to tell a lie, and that gave him, purpose to keep going. I loved it.
So
And then at the end, it also is like he gets a happy ending because the Jawas come, destroy everything, he plays dead, and then just rolls away at the end.
Yep.
yeah, it ends with massacre, and he's just like, "Okay, cool." Because
See ya.
Thank God.
stormtroopers
Worked out
kill
for
them
me.
all. But we've never seen R5 though. Like A New Hope and Mandalorian is the only time we've seen R5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I thought that was so interesting that they kept like strongly hinting at like his past as like possibly being in the rebellion and stuff, when I'm like, we've never seen any of that. Like that's kind of a pretty
Not yet.
intense.
Yeah.
But I guarantee
Backstory.
he's with Obi-Wan's brother.
No,
Yeah, it's coming back. We all know that's coming up.
from a certain point of view, so there's 40 stories for the 40th anniversary of all of the original trilogy. So
Mhm.
this book had 40 stories, and we're just talking about one of them, and there are 40 different authors, and each author has an incredible amount of liberty to establish backstory and stuff,
Yeah.
because it's just it's the same story, but from a very minor character's point of view, and so they can establish a whole lot of canon backstory that, I'll say may or may not be true, but as of right now, because
Canonically, is it gonna? Yeah.
Canonically, it is true, but this is a minor enough thing that they could overwrite it,
Yeah.
and no one would have that much ground to say that's bullshit. But canonically, this is all true, and I love giving the authors that kind of free range to do something funky.
Yeah, I agree. I also feel like this is a cool story to fill in that a small gap and expand this character to make it more sad of a situation, and I think it's a blast to see. And I think that these books do a really good job at that, obviously. But like even you have a 7-page story of R5 is so cool to see,
Mhm.
and so unneeded. But like, yes, we
It's
do.
so unneeded. It's
but, like,
just such a fun
yeah.
idea to tell
Yes.
someone like, oh, you know the story of the red one from Tatooine?
Yeah.
It's actually a really cool story.
Yes, exactly. It's a blast.
Yeah, it was great, and I loved it. And so I hope that we get to do more of these in the future, where we can just do kind of these quick reviews of short stories like this that are only 7 pages long, because it was fantastic.
Yeah,
I loved it. The idea was presented, and Luke was like, "Yeah, you can just like rent it on Libby right now for free." And so I, like, within minutes of us agreeing to do this, I read it and I was like, "Wow, that was really good." So
Mhm.
I'm glad that I did. And I want to encourage our listeners as well, because it is so easy to access. Download Libby, get the book, and read it. It was really good. And let us know what you thought, and let us know what you think about the insults as well. Like I said, feel free to reach out to us with insults that we didn't mention, but
That
don't
are Star
call
Wars
us-
related.
Don't call us the insults. Anywhere on social media you can reach out to us. Sorry, I blanked on how I was gonna
Or
transition. on that.
what would be a good insult for each of us? If you insult one of us, insult all of us.
Keep it to yourself.
Star Wars related. Star Wars related, of course. Is Fuzzball perfect for Max? I don't know.
Please don't call me an overweight glob of grease.
But if you do, you can do it on social media at Force for Thought, or you can email us at forceforthought@gmail.com. And wow, train of thought has derailed.
We'll clean it up in post. Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you, Sammy.
No, that was fine. That was good.